Oh man, it's here. Trump's Liberation Day. The Liberation Day for Americans. What does this mean for crypto? What does this mean for Bitcoin price, altcoin prices, and more? We're going to break down exactly what to expect from today's Trump speech and his announcement on tariffs. If you like this type of content, smash up the likes. Do not forget to subscribe. For those who aren't familiar, today, the 2nd of April, is this day Trump's been speaking about for a while, where he's going to make his tariff announcement. He's going to be talking about reciprocal tariffs and placing maybe widespread tariffs across most major nations. This could be a huge, huge day, could have huge ramifications across global stock markets. And of course, crypto could be privy to those moves. We've seen here, if you look at the S&P over the last series of weeks, let me just jump over to the weekly chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, pretty much over the last 6-7 weeks, you've had 6 out of 7 weeks to the downside here of the S&P. This is in fear of these tariffs. Of course, we've already had some tariff announcements, but today is being hyped up by Trump and his team as being this big special day. And of course, that is going to pile in worry for the markets. If we take a look at Bitcoin over a similar period, it's been a tough one, but not as tough as the traditional markets in terms of the US stock markets we just looked at, right? I mean, this big candlestick was horrible to start off March for Bitcoin, down 14%. We then managed to eke out 2 green weeks. Last week, then 4% down, and this week kind of trying to open up here, 2.6%. But more importantly, we're at a very critical level here on Bitcoin, right? If I take out all the lines and we just look at this EMA ribbon here, we're coming in to test this weekly EMA ribbon. And the weekly EMA ribbon, as you guys know, is no joke. When we've lost it in the past, we've lost it pretty bad, right? Last time it signaled the start of the real bear market, which eventually took us from 69,000 down to 15,500. And so naturally, you should be worried about losing this weekly EMA ribbon, right? A weekly candle close below the EMA ribbon, which is about 76,000, right? Which isn't crazy far from where we're at. We're sitting at 84,000 at the time of recording this video, and we could be losing the trend here on the weekly chart. So this is a really important moment, and it could go either way, right? And depending on what Trump says, this is what's going to matter. So for those who aren't familiar, let's quickly take a look at what he's doing. Trump views tariffs as a mean of achieving 4 main goals: flow of fentanyl, illegal immigration, leveling the playing field with trade partners, and raising government revenue. He's tied fentanyl and border-related issues to the 20% tariffs he's already levied on Chinese imports and the 25% tariffs he's threatened for Canada and Mexico. Now, the interesting thing here is these guys aren't taking it lightly. I mean, if you take a look at this, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen sought to put Trump on notice on Tuesday, saying the EU has a strong plan for striking back at the US. Various other countries, including Canada, Mexico, China, Japan, and South Korea, have also been firming up retaliatory plans. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi said the following: that Beijing would counterattack if the US continues to engage in blackmail, okay? America first should not be America bullying. So what's interesting here is, like, look, if Trump was to attack any one given country, let's say Canada or Mexico, even 2 at a time, right? You can back Trump. You know Trump is going to win that battle because of the strength of America. Eventually, at some point, Canada would have to back down, Mexico would have to back down, etc., etc. But when you're doing broad-based reciprocal tariffs in the way that Trump seems to be, now, of course, we know he's a showman, but seems to be going after right here, this could backfire. Right? It could well backfire because you're going after all countries at once, which means they can all counterattack you at the same time. You're picking a battle with everybody. Now, my view here on the way Trump likes to do business from the previous administration and what we're seeing so far this administration, he talks a lot to get people to back down. Right? He uses the Mike Tyson approach of beating opponents before they get in the ring so that he doesn't actually need to fight. It's already done. And if you look at this approach here from his best friend, Bum Chums, you can see here, Israel took a different approach and announced it would cancel all of its tariffs, even though they barely have any tariffs, right? Look at this. Though Israel had only a limited amount of tariffs, it's just drama. It's just drama to try to create this impression that countries are folding to get other countries to feel nervous to fold as well. Now, anyway, leaving the politics aside, what is it we need to understand? What we need to understand as investors is that the market has broadly speaking, priced in quite a significant effect of tariffs, right? This fallback here in the traditional markets, and again, we're correlated in terms of crypto, so that's why I'm spending time looking at the traditional markets, is down 8% over the last 6-7 weeks, right? So it came down into that correction territory. So we priced in a lot of pain. Now, the question is going to be, was the bark harder than the bite, right? Is it going to match the bite we're going to see today? If the bite is far more painful than the market's priced in, we're going to have to go down some more. If the bite was, that wasn't too bad, he just did a couple of retaliationary tariffs on some countries, and it's not too bad, it's not too wide sweeping, markets are going to rally back up, guys. Because the market has to try to guess what Trump is doing, right? And that's where the pain has come from over the last kind of 6 to 7 weeks here, is Trump hasn't been super clear. He's saying there's this Liberation Day, which has come today, and we don't know. So it's had to try to price it in. If it's worse than expected, then of course we're going to have to price in some more pain to the downside. If it's better than expected, and it's not, and the tariffs aren't as wide sweeping and global as I've just kind of laid out there, then we got a chance to rally. And if you look at that on Bitcoin, that would mean a nice big bounce off our EMA ribbon. And again, I'll look back out for that 100K level. 100K, start breaking some of these highs and start working your way back up. Once the fear of these tariffs are over, we got a clear run, guys. Like, things start to get a lot easier because other than this, the main fear around the recession is because of the tariffs. The main fear is that the US, with their tariffs, are going to push people into recession. I mean, take a look at this. Recession fears growing. The tariffs in place and the uncertainty from the ones Trump has yet to announce have already dragged the US economy at a precarious time when a growing share of consumers are struggling financially. And everything, everywhere, all at once tariff approach could not only significantly raise consumer prices consumers pay and cause financial markets to plummet, but also tip the US economy into recession. And that's the important bit. If in his speech later on today, if in the administration's announcements later on today, this tariff approach is really widespread, right? It's everything, everywhere, all at once, like they just said there. And it's widespread, wide sweeping. That's going to create pain. That's going to get people worried that the prices are going to go up for US consumers. We could get a recession locally in US, and we could get a global recession as well, and that's going to create fear. If we get the feeling after the talk that it's not that bad, it's a few targeted tariffs on a few targeted countries, like how we did the Canada one and the Mexico one, well, in that case, we've already got a bunch priced in, right? Us pulling back from all-time highs post the Trump inauguration was us pricing that in. So in terms of crypto, us pricing in the fears of tariffs, we're already 22% priced in. We fell 22% to price that in. So if it's worse than expected, again, look for the pullbacks. And for me, that's the EMA ribbon. Coming deeper into the EMA ribbon, 75 to 76. Now, something's interesting happening. I always wanted us to go and retest this previous all-time high, right? Which kind of touches that 74. That candle touched 73.8 exactly. Call it 74. Okay? So that 74 level, I always wanted us to come back over, retest that, and then head to the upside. I don't think we have the room for that now because the weekly EMA ribbon has gone above that. The weekly EMA ribbon is now at 76. The previous all-time high is at 74. If we're going to retest 74, I think it will happen in a day, not on a weekly candle close to retest that level. Hopefully that makes sense. I think it'll be a wicking candle to test 74, and then we'll bounce back up. That being said, 4 weeks ago, we did wick as low as 76.5. Maybe that is as low as we go. It just depends on what Trump does today. If he gives us some bad data and expects us to come further down, I will use that, guys, as an opportunity to buy the dip. Because these kind of fear tactics used by politicians and these fear moments, historically, and of course, I'm not telling you what to do, please do your own research, has always proven as a great time for me to buy the dip. I like to buy the dip when markets are at that peak fear moment, really scared, really nervous, really anxious. I mean, if you jump onto fear and greed, we're sitting at 44, partly because Bitcoin's doing pretty well. Right? Bitcoin's pretty strong right now, but if you jump on over to traditional markets are a lot more nervous around the US. I mean, if you look at this one at the top here of my screen here, extreme fear is driving the US market. They're on 15 on their fear and greed index. So crypto is holding up a little bit well just because the price is doing okay. Because we're at 85 and, there's no more widespread liquidations over the last kind of couple of days or so. That's why the crypto market's a little bit more optimistic. Otherwise, you can see that the US markets are fearful right now. So for me, if we get that pullback, I'm buying the dip. If we start rallying, great. I think that could be really positive to have this tariff fear behind us, to finally have this, this boogie day that everybody's worried about, this Liberation Day behind us. and we can move onwards. Again, remind yourself, guys, anytime you get these kinds of days, they've always proved fleeting. Remember, US stock market, even Bitcoin to this point, has survived so much over its history, right? Whether it's recessions, whether it's financial crises, whether it's down periods, whether it's countries banning it, whether it's world wars, right? Remember at the start of the Russia-Ukraine war, everyone thought, oh no, this is going to be horrible. And it is horrible from a war perspective, but from an investment perspective, you've been okay. Right? And that's the point here. These asset classes, the ones you're investing in, should be robust, should see the test of time. And I think that is why when we've had this pullback, I've made videos with you guys saying, guys, I'm just using this as opportunity to rotate into quality. I don't want to be in my portfolio and look at a bunch of meme coins which I don't trust. Not when we got this kind of a pullback. No, I want to have good solid plays that, if Trump comes out and throws the book at the markets today and really wrecks us and rug pulls us, well, I'm good. I'm going to buy the dip. I'm only holding high conviction plays, and I'll feel confident even if we want to go into a little bit of a sideways period for many months. So that's where I stand right now. I don't think we're going to get a sideways period. I think if it's really bad, I think we get a little bit of a flash crash and opportunity to buy the dip. If it's not that bad, I think the market will rally pretty quickly, given the fact that 6-7 weeks of that has already been priced in. We've already tried to price in a really bad situation, so hopefully we get a situation where it's just not as bad or maybe a bit of an anticlimax, and that's good news for markets. Hopefully you enjoyed this update. If you like this type of content, smash the likes. Do not forget to subscribe. If you actively want to trade with me, ijazcrypto.com/TG is where you're going to be able to do that. Save yourself the time guessing, trialing and error, wrecking yourself and blowing up multiple accounts trading. Come and join me, trade actively with me, see how I set up my altcoin trades, how I do my technical analysis, my stop losses, my risk management. Save yourself a bunch of time, effort, and money. Get inside, see what it's all about. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.